G'day guys, welcome back to another episode. So I need to try and work out what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to start off with a bit of a walkthrough guide and to see where I'm up to with each part of the project. I've got heaps of stuff that I need to get a hold of and order. I've ordered a whole bunch of stuff, but they're waiting to come in. A lot of places don't have anything in stock at the moment, here in Australia anyway. So I have stuff like I'm ordered stuff for the bowsprit and the anchor guides and everything, but I've just got to wait for them to come in. They could be weeks, I don't know. So last thing I ordered, that took five or 6 weeks to come in. That was the poo tanks, so they took a while to come in. So that's just a waiting game, can't help that. So we'll just go through and have a look at where I'm at with everything, and that might give me a little bit of a handy hint to see what I'm going to work on today. So let's start outside the boat here. We're good with the rudder at the moment, so that's all welded in, just waiting for the blasting to start, and I can give that a whip blast and give it undercoat, and it's all protected. So I'm waiting for a while before I worry about the stern tube. I might get the prop shaft machined up after I have put the electric motors in, so I know exactly what sort of prop shaft and everything I'm going to use. This pin 2 bearing, I've got that on order. I do have a big giant reinforcement 20mm plate that I've got prepped and ready to weld underneath. I just want to beef this up. It's a bit too thin for me, so I'm going to beef this whole area up so that when the rudder sits on here, it's not putting too much load on that 15mm bit of plate there. So that's the only thing really outside that I've got to worry about. So now let's head up to the boat and see what work we got up on the deck. Alright, if we start aft, so at the back here I've got a dinghy davit system that will be constructed and welded onto here. That's going to be a while before I get onto that. It's a lot of steel that I've got to buy. Still working out if we want to make it a stainless solid one so we can put the solar arch on top, or if we're going to have one of the metal fold down ones, which are nice and convenient. Swim deck to go on the back, not starting that yet. Got all these handrails, all these handrails are just tacked in at the moment, and I still got a lot of stainless steel to order, so missing pieces there and there. Got a little bit more to make and finish off at the back here. Complete pieces missing over here, so I've got a lot of stainless work to do, and they're all tacked in, so it's a lot of welding all the way around. We're going to be coming up here and putting a soft bimini over this whole aft section. So where we've got the hard dodger top here, where this finishes, there will be a soft dodger going over the top, or soft dodger or bimini, whichever one we're going to call it. So that's this aft end. There are some little bits and pieces I still have to finish up on this dodger here, but that's okay. Companionway's got a little bit more work to do, the steering column. So moving forward, I've got holes to drill in this sunroof underneath this tarp, so I could go on with that at some point. These windows are under here. I just wanted to stop a bit of water getting in there, so I just draped that over the top. Not a lot to do on the deck here. These are all done. They're just not bolted in because every time I do some hot work, I want to move these out the way so I don't get hot welding sparks and all that all over them. They need a bit of a wash, but they're going to be all nice and new once we give them a clean. So not much to do up here at the moment. We got the doubler plate there, which will probably have a lug welded on for that'll be for the cutter rig setup, and then we got a doubler plate going in here. We're going to put the anchor winch on that, I'm going to get those plates laser cut up so that they're just really nicely made. They've got nice radiuses on them. It'll have the hole pre-cut out for the chain to go through, and the holes already cut out for the bolt holes for the winch. So we're going to wait for them to come in. I've got to get some stainless steel. I'm going to weld a plate on the end there for the stainless steel, and that will bolt the anchor quick release and smooth release rollers on the end. We did decide, with all the good comments that we got from everyone, that we're going to go with the one anchor. It's going to be a lot easier, a lot cheaper to set up, and like a lot of the guys said, they've had 2 anchors on their boat for 20 years and they've only ever used the one. We will still be able to manual drop second or even third anchors if we want to. We will be having 3 anchors on the boat, so no drama there. It's just a little bit of extra work if we do need it. Being that this is going to be a coastal cruiser, we're not going to be stipulated out there liverboards all the time, having to bear the brunt of a few storms. We'll choose the days that we go sailing. So after we install that bow roller, then we can install the deck over the top, and that'll be a hinged deck, so we can get to the front. So good to go there. We're just gonna wait on some steel, which is no big deal, and then I've got to get my TIG welder all set up so I can start TIGging that stainless together. So let's head in. So if we start in the aft cabin here, there's not a lot of work to do in here. I've already spent a bit of time in the aft cabin, and it's not really a lot that's happening. We've got a bed coming in here, we've got a couple of cupboards, but the only main bit of engineering that's happening in here is the steering. So we've got the rudder coming up through here, and we're going to have a hydraulic, we're going to have the lever arm coming off there, and we're going to have a hydraulic cylinder pushing that lever, giving us steering. It's going to be all hydraulic. Now that lever arm is going to have a couple of stoppers welded in. So I think sailboat steering, I think, has a maximum like range of effectiveness of like 35 or 36 degrees from memory. Anything over that and your rudder basically isn't doing anything anyway. So I think, yeah, we get that rudder to pivot at 35 degrees, and we weld in a few stops so that you just don't keep steering and overrun your pistons and whatnot. And then you need brackets for the hydraulic ram and an autopilot to go in here. So there's a few little bits of welding to happen in here still. And other than that, all we have is floor rails to weld in up and down here. So that's a job we can look into. To the floor rails, not a big hard job. We've just got to measure back how far the bed will end up stopping at, and then run a couple of rails in here. We've already got one rail running across here, so basically we need another rail and a couple of cross braces, and we're good to go for this bedroom. That's about all we got in here. So that's all right. We've got some floor in this is the aft head. We've got some floor braces to weld in here. I think that one there might be a little bit high. We'll have to measure that. But floor braces to go in here, and we might weld in a couple of tabs to put a brace across here for when we put the wall lining in for the fiberglass like waterproof wall lining for the shower. So not heaps to go in here either. This is a engine frame here with engine resilient mounts for the generator. I'm not going to take that out, but I'm not going to use it either. So that is some pretty hefty steel. It's a good job. It's nice and structural, keeps everything nice and square. So we'll just leave that. So come out here. So there's nothing really to go in here except for some floor rails, just to keep bracing those floors a lot better. So there is a little bit of work to do in this saloon. So a couple of things I'm going to need to do is I'm going to have to install a bilge line in here. So the bilge obviously will sit in this lowest part here, but there are no bilge exit ports. So I'm going to have to find a place that I can access. So maybe behind the settee here there'll be a wardrobe set up in here, so that could be a good spot to put the bilge lines running, and or maybe even there'll be some cupboards up here. I can run the bilge lines up, and then outside the water line stops about, where's the chime? There's a chime. So the water line stops about here. So as long as it's above the water line, I can put a couple of holes in there for the bilge line to, you know, just get that water out the boat. So I've got to put that in. I've got to finish off, we did them last week, cut those out last week. We've got to finish off the flooring in here. We've got all this pitch in the bilge here, all that pitch has to come up. Then we're going to pour a epoxy resin over the top so we can get that nice smooth finish on the bilge, so it'll make it easier to clean up. The pitch is just not a good option. Got to reinforce this post here for the mast. That has to be reinforced down the bottom. I just don't trust that is strong enough. So we're going to have to weld in a couple of brackets as well for kitchen benches, and maybe another one up here for the nav station. We'll weld in some brackets. But other than that, up the top on the roof, I'm going to put structural supports in here. Structural supports either side here as well, and up the front. Just because we opened up these windows and we took out one structural support that was there, and one structural support that was there, but they've been removed. So we're going to put a bit more bracing in around these windows so we don't get any buckling. And other than that, in here we've got these door frames. We're going to square these door frames out a little bit, so nice and square, no arched doorways. Just gives it that little bit more of a modern look, so we're running with that at the moment. So we've got a square doorway here, no problem. So moving into the forward cabin. There's not a lot of work to do in a forward cabin. I've already done the windows. All the studs are done. I'm just got to bolt everything up. A little bit more floor bracing in here. That's about it. So we do have a seacock there. Forward head. So in the forward head, we've basically got the floor bracing in, so we don't have to do anything there. But we may need to add in a few more seacocks for disposal of the wastewater. So if we go into the sail locker, we're going to keep this doorway. I was thinking about welding this all up and making that a full waterproof bulkhead. It's already had most of the welding done. As you can see, it's all been welded pretty nice. So that's almost done. However, I wanted to be able to get into here during weather, so I'm thinking instead of me having to go all the way out the boat across the floor deck and then down into the sail locker, I could just have this door. I could make a watertight door there and just keep that option. But the shower is also going to be in the middle here, because being that this is the biggest bit of flat floor that we have, we'll have the shower up in the middle here. That way you can just stand under it and you're not having to sit on any seats or being troubled in any way. So we're going to keep that door there, so in case it's bad weather I can always just come all the way through here. So the chain locker is basically going to be sitting above this little step here, so the chain locker is up around this area here. There'll be a hole just up there. And in here I'm hoping to store a little generator off to the side, and then there'll be a workbench sort of wrapping around this side, bench vise and storage above and below. So there's still a bit of work to do. So that's not including any of the like propulsion units and all that. That's just, you know, what we can sort of start getting into at the moment. So what I might start doing today is looking at doing more of the flooring options. Saves me having to do what I'm doing now, which is like standing on one side to the other, and we might be able to get some better flooring in here so it makes it easier to work in. So while I'm waiting for all the parts that I need to like do the bow and do the anchor and everything, I might do a bit of work on getting these door frames squared up a little bit. Maybe get onto the flooring, and if I am too lazy I might chisel away at some of the pitch so we can get that resin poured soon. All these internal jobs and all that just ticking away so we can get closer to that end goal of being able to blast and paint the inside of the boat. Well, it's hot today and I'm going to cheat. I'm going to start in the bilge where it's lower in the boat, not so hot, and we're going to start chiseling out this pitch that some idiot poured down into the bottom here. So chisel all out. Don't really feel like getting hot welding and grinding those door frames right now. So I'm going to get onto this. Hopefully I get it all chiseled out today. And that'll be a nice good effort, because then we can look at preserving this, getting it all blasted and painted, and then pouring some like epi-res or something in here. Nice smooth epoxy so we can have a really nice clean bilge. We'd like the nice white bilges, so you know, if it's a bit dirty, we can just wipe it out with a nice clean rag and you're good to go. So let's get on to that. Just before I start, I might go get the fan. She's hot in here today, and we'll get some air blowing around. A bit noisy in here today. We have another bad weather day today, so we've come back to the boat. I was hoping to cut out the door frames, but I can't do that today because of the rain. I don't want to use my power tools, so yeah, I've just got to give that one a miss for today. I've got a little bit of pitch to remove in that bottom corner down there, so I can go on with that, but the weather is not going so great today. We've got a lot of rain, we've got some thunder, no lightning as of yet, so if the lightning starts I'm going to jump off my boat because it's not earthed out or nothing. So I'm going to get into doing a little bit more chiseling, and hopefully it doesn't delay us too much, the rain. So let's get to it. So I now have the pitch all out of these two bilges, the biggest ones on the boat. So we're looking a little bit better down here. So got a bit of a stringer there on this side. So what we're going to do now is simply, we're going to clean all this up. As you can see, there's a bit of rust here. That coating has come away, so that has to be cleaned up. Same on this side, we've got a little bit of rust showing. That rust could be because these bits of steel that were in the bilge here, surrounded by the pitch, weren't sealed very well, and these are rusting. So the coating on here could be okay, but we're going to give it a blast, and we're going to end up blasting these bits here to give it a profile for all the epi-res to stick to, and we're going to pour in some self-leveling like epoxy resi, like epi-res, and just get a nice even smooth coat of epoxy on this. It's going to be a thick self-leveling epoxy. We'll just mix it up and pour it in. It should even like seep down into the keel. So hopefully that works. We're not going to get onto that straight away. I need the bilge to dry out. So before I do that, I'm going to end up having to seal up all these windows and everything first. Alright, so I finished all three of the doors, trim them up to get them all square. So I was originally going to go up to this line up here, which would have brought it up parallel with this arch. But I decided that's probably not a great idea, just because as I would have cut that, we would have been awfully close up here to this bulkhead, which would have meant that I couldn't insulate this or line it, which would be a bit of an inconvenience and it would make that whole area just look crap. So I decided to drop that, which will mean I have to fill in this arch area, and then we'll have to border this with the same 50mm bar that they've got here. Gives us a chance to screw our architrave and a door frame into it. So this door is 2 inches shorter than all the other doors. I could take a little bit more off at the floor level. We've got half an inch down the bottom there to take out. So that could help it out a little bit, but it's not that big a drama. Most people still have to walk through normal. My head height, you know, I may have to duck a little bit because you know, I haven't got much room there. But once you put the door frame in, I may have to duck, but I'm a pretty tall fella, so most people probably don't have to. But the rest are all trimmed up nice. And we've got this one over here, all trimmed up. So that's 3 door frames, all done. So after talking to the wife, I was sort of thinking, oh, in the forward head, we could probably leave that one, that door frame there, as an oval shape. But she's pretty adamant that she wants that one squared off as well, so I have to get to that one next. Well, that brings us to the end of another week's episode. So we've still got plenty of odd tasks to go on with in between all the stuff that's on back order and trying to get stuff into Adelaide. So if we're still waiting next week, I've got the windows to go on with and trying to weld some stuff in there for the flooring. So still plenty of stuff to do, so still got lots of content to put out. If you liked this episode, feel free to leave a comment and a like, and if you haven't already subscribed, we're getting really close to that 1,000 mark, so help us out there, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks guys.